best car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
Yep, you got it. This is the Frontier Motors Show here on News Talk 1370 WCOA. Talk at 10 is the other name for the show, but when Iven is here, it's the Frontier Motor Show. Iven Streckel is the owner of that fine establishment. He is certainly ready to take any calls from you regarding the price of a car, truck, or SUV that you're thinking of buying or selling or trading in, or if you just want any other information related to the car business. He is your guy. You call us, I connect you with him. 478-3116. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Don. Thank you so much again. And this is a show that is also being videotaped for our Blab TV customers. So if you're watching this on TV, don't bother calling in. Again, for those WCOA 1370 listeners, 478-3116 is the phone number to call. We're going to be talking cars for the next 30 minutes. And you might not be in the market for a car, but don't turn that channel. You never really know. I talked about last time, I kind of made fun of Pensacola a little bit because I said when I moved down here from Pensacola, from Milwaukee area about 23 years ago, that I found out in a short period of time that this is the red light running capital of the nation. A lot of people here do not worry about yellow for sure, and some of them don't worry about red, which means that you might be in the car business, in the car industry, in the car buying situation in a short period of time when that person runs that light and broadsides you. And then you're going to know and remember that there's a dealership in Pensacola that is here to help you to make sure that the insurance company gives you the full value replacement of your vehicle. Also, what if the vehicle is not totaled? What if there's a major accident, you got broadsided, it's not your fault, the airbags went off, and the Carfax history report now says that your car has diminished value because the next owner is going to see it on the history report. Everybody that buys a car should always do a history report before they buy the car, unless, of course, it's a brand new one. But if you're buying a used car, you want to do the history report. And by the way, on a side note, we do free history reports for anybody out there. Don't pay. Call Frontier Motors, will run it for you. And the history report might say airbags deployed, major accident reported, vehicle had to be towed from the scene. Well, what is the value of that vehicle now? Well, you shouldn't be hurt because somebody else hit your car financially. You shouldn't be hurt. Call Frontier Motors. We will give you a letter of diminished value, which means this is what you should be getting extra from the insurance company because the value of your vehicle has now been compromised. It's not worth what it is now after the accident, even though it might have been fixed correctly. When you come in to buy a car, let's say it's a car that's a 2018 used car, and you find out it's been an accident, what is your attitude about buying that car now? It usually means you turn around and walk out, or it means that you say, well, how much would that car be now because it's been an accident? And sometimes it's as much as $5,000 that you should save if the car's been an accident. So that's one of the things that we can help you with, even though you might not be in the car business. But let's say that you are in the car business. So what do we offer the people in the Pensacola area, even if they're not going to buy a used car? Because that's what we do at Frontier Motors. We sell used cars for a living. But we help people even if they decide to buy brand new. Number one, I have the invoice guides with us at the radio show right here, which tells me what a new car costs. Consumers Report sells these invoices for $16 a piece. At Frontier Motors, these are free. Now, the reason you might want to have a new car invoice is because if you know what the dealer paid for the car, it makes it a lot easier for you to negotiate a deal. So that you're not making, number one, ridiculous offers, and also, number two, you're not paying too much for the car. But we'll hold that thought for a minute because Don said he's got a call on the line.
This is Tony.
Hey, Tony, thanks for calling the Frontier Motor Show. How can I help you?
Well, I was just calling to give y'all a plug.
Right.
I used to work at one of the local dealerships, which was a great dealership. However, if we ever had an instance where we couldn't find the person what they wanted, we would send them to y'all. And my dad and several other friends have bought vehicles from y'all, but you just mentioned about having the diminished value.
Mm-hmm.
My wife had a brand new 700-mile Honda Odyssey whenever she and the kids got hit. and we had a time trying to get that settled with the insurance. But we came to y'all, got that letter, and ended up that went a long way towards going. We ended up going to mediation, but that letter helped us be able to get a better resolution. So I figured I'd give y'all the extra plug.
That's very good. Hey, Tony, let me ask a question.
We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate your call. Let me ask you a question. The dealership you worked at, and you don't have to name who they are, of course. Did they do this for customers at all as far as diminished value letters?
They corporately, they were not allowed to put it in writing. However, they did give me a verbal, which of course that doesn't go a long way, but at least I had that to be able to kind of go with it. So it was y'all in writing and them verbally. So it helped, but the writing one definitely helped a lot more.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a completely side note question. I came into a couple of vehicles a few months ago, older vehicles that were in storage here in Pensacola from an uncle that was stationed in AS 40 years ago. They were actually in storage 38 years.
Oh my God!
Yeah. So I'm trying to look exactly what to do as far as valuing, and then also I'm working on them now, getting them in good, getting them running, but keeping them original.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to kind of, I guess, figure out the best way to value and insure those.
Yeah, that's a good question, Tony. And and the funny thing is, I'm in the car business, and they say this is like they ask the expert show, but I'm not an expert in old cars, and I'll be the first one to admit that those are very difficult vehicles to put values on. The only one that I know that has done this in the past is Gerald Adcox over at Adcox Imports. He used to dabble in exotics, and I know he still has the books, and I'm sure that he'd share that information with you. But the only way that I would do it is the same way that you're going to do it, is by getting online. I do believe that Auto Trader has an exotic or antique section. Auto Trader, by the way, doesn't do just cars. They do semi-trucks and motorhomes and everything else, and motorcycles. But they also have an exotic section or an antique section. That would be one place to go, because if you know what other people are selling those cars for, it would help you evaluate them more, especially as far as insurance purposes.
Right.
But thanks, Tony. I really appreciate you calling for the plug, and I'm glad that the diminished value letter helped you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for calling the show. That's very nice. And folks, this is one of the things that I talked about before. I was actually giving a plug to Alan Turner a couple of months ago, because I had a gentleman came in with a diminished value letter from Alan Turner on a Hyundai that they had smashed up, and they actually put it in writing. That's the only dealership that I've ever had that actually did this also. Now, they will only do it on a new car from one of what the customer told me. But it's really nice that on a Hyundai, at least you can go into the dealership. And like Tony, who just called, it's different if a dealership tells you, yeah, you lost about $3,000 in value, but they won't put it in writing and they won't sign it. We will. We're not afraid of litigation. We're not afraid of somebody calling us on the carpet. I do want to put a little asterisk on diminished value. That is an opinion. There's not a formula that I use. There's not a percentage. It's just my opinion of what I feel that I would be appraising this car for if you decided to trade it. How much less would it be worth because it's had a major accident? And sometimes it's only $1,000 depending on the car, and sometimes it might be as much as $7,000 or $8,000 if it's a high performance $90,000 exotic car, for example. Diminished an accident's going to be quite a bit more as far as diminished value than if it was a little Chevy Spark or a smart car, just to give you an idea. Now, let's talk about what's going on in the car industry a little bit. 2017 is over with, and 2017 was not a record year for used car. Now, the last 7 years, new cars have gone up and up and up. And in 2016, new cars hit a record 17.5 million sales. Last year, unofficially, in 2017, they're going to hit 17.2, which means that it was almost a record, 17.2 million cars. Now, why am I excited about that? Because that's a very good year. Even though it was a record, it was a very, very good year for the car industry. Well, the reason I'm excited is because I need to buy some used cars. Now, how do I get used cars if nobody's buying new cars? It makes it very difficult. Consumers Report says that the first year depreciation, if you're the one buying one of those 17.2 million cars last year and you decided that this year you want to trade it, Consumers Report finally put into writing what I've been talking about for the last 21 years. And I've been talking about depreciation, just like a realtor talks about location. Well, a car dealership like Frontier Motors talks about depreciation, and don't you get caught in depreciation. The way that you can avoid Major depreciation is by buying a pre-owned car. And Consumers Reports said that the first-year depreciation on a new car is $9,200 on the average. Isn't that something? So that means that if you bought a brand new car today and next year you said, this car is too small, it's too big, I need a pickup truck, I need a minivan, I'm having triplets, the Camaro's not working, and you trade it into the same dealership, your average appraisal is going to be $9,200 less than what you paid for it. The first year is the greatest, and that's one of the reasons that we kind of specialize in one-year-old cars. Now, with having almost 400 cars in stock, we might have 100 of those that are 1 to 1.5 years old. Then we have another 100 that are 2 years old to 2.5 years old. And the rest of them are used cars that we purchase and take in trade that are older, that might be 4 years or 5 years or 6 years old, that still have a lot of life left in them that can be bought at a really good price. Consumers Report says the second year depreciation is $12,600 if you bought it brand new 2 years later. And in 3 years, you lose 46%. That's almost 50%. Well, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but 46 is close to 50. So if you bought a brand new car, 3 years later, it's worth about half the value. Now, why don't you take advantage of that depreciation? An article came out yesterday. I have my new Consumers Reports. I'm going to show you the cover so you don't think I'm making this up. It's, Don, just so you can see it here.
I see it.
This is an edition that is, this is a February edition. Now, the funny thing is it's not, how do they make a February? It's not even February yet.
Yeah.
Of course, you might be watching this in February. This is actually January. And I'm going to tell you on page 48, it says the average new car loses about half its value in the first 3 years of ownership, said Mel Yu, CR's automotive analyst. Buying a used car means that the previous owner took a big financial hit. The other guy, not you. Consumers Report survey results show that cars in general are very reliable today, easily clocking over 100,000 miles or more before needing any major repairs. If you take the necessary precautions when buying a used car from a recent model used car, chances are you'll end up with one that you can drive for years to come without needing too much more than an oil change. Perhaps the most compelling reason to buy a used car is that you can put premium features and luxury within reach when you otherwise couldn't afford it. Now, what that means, folks, is that you go into a car dealership and you pick out let's pick on, all the luxury dealers are over in Mobile. We'll use a local dealer. Let's pick on the Chevrolet dealership, for example. Let's say you walk in and you see the ad for a 2018 Chevy Equinox, and it's $19,900, and I'm making this up, folks. I don't want any of our local, which is Pete Moore and Sandy Stansing. They're great dealers. I always tell you that if you're going to buy a brand new Chevrolet, for example, you go to either Pete Moore or Sandy Stansing. There are two local dealers. I would love for you to keep all of the money in town. Don't buy out of town. You might be able to get your prices out of town, but then come in and see our two local dealers and buy from them if you're buying new. But what happens is you buy a brand new car, you see the ad, it's a really good price, so you walk in, and of course, as everybody knows, it's a base model car. It doesn't have a backup camera. It's got cloth interior. It doesn't even have a power seat. Some of them don't even have cruise control. There still are some cars like a Chevy Sonic that you can get with crank windows. It doesn't even have power windows on it. So, of course, you come in there, you see the sale price, and next thing you know, you want the goodies on it. And I'm not talking about power windows and door locks. I'm talking about you want leather. You want a sunroof. You want a backup camera. And now the newest thing that everybody wants is they want the new safety features on our car, which I agree with. Things like blind spot, lane detection, automatic stopping, laser cruise control, surround cameras. These are all upgrades that are very, very expensive. They're called, in a lot of cases, they're called the technology package, which is anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. When you buy used, you pay pennies on the dollars for this equipment. For example, when you buy brand new leather in a pickup truck, a lot of times it's $1,500. When I add it on a used car that's 3 years old, it's about $400. It's still a little bit more, but you can buy all of these features, which might be $10,000 additional price to a new car. You can buy these for $2,500 on a used car. So like Consumers Report says that even if you pay the same for a car that's 1 year old, you might be able to get maybe $8,500 or $7,500 worth of extras at no additional charge, and you might only be giving up 10,000 miles. I would do that, especially for the safety features. It's very, very important. A lot of people don't put enough emphasis on safety. I do. I think it's a really big deal. And the reason I do this is from personal experience. Things like adaptive cruise control, some manufacturers call it laser cruise control. And if you don't know what that is, folks, it's a really good safety feature. And you set your cruise control. I was heading to New Orleans last week. I was driving a QX80. If you don't know what that is, that's a large SUV in the Infiniti lineup. Infiniti is Nissan's Highline division. This is an $85,000 vehicle. This had the latest and greatest safety features. But the one thing I noticed that I really liked was the adaptive cruise control. And folks, if you don't know what that is, you set the cruise control. In this particular case, I set it on 78 miles an hour, which I know that is illegal because the speed limit on the expressway is 75. But I put it on 78 miles an hour. And what that does is I can set it on 100, 200, or 300 feet. The guy in front of me, I put it on 200 feet. So the guy in front of me is 200 feet away. My vehicle, let's say he slows down and 50 miles an hour. I'm going to be right behind him, 200 feet away exactly at 50 miles an hour. He speeds up to 78 miles an hour. My car speeds up to 78. He goes 90 miles an hour. My car stays at 78. He slams on his brake to avoid hitting a deer. He goes down from 78 to 0 miles an hour. My car stops immediately, even if I'm not paying attention, which, folks, they're talking about making texting and driving a major offense these days. It's not yet, but it's going to be soon. So don't text and drive. And I wasn't texting and driving, but I was having a conversation with someone in the back seat, which you shouldn't do because sometimes you look towards the back seat and you're not paying attention, and my car hit the brakes and saved me. Very, very big deal. So that's a safety feature that you might want to buy brand new at $2,500. But if I can get it for you for $400 on a used car, it'd be a pretty darn good safety feature. So this is what Consumers was talking about. And I guess what I'm making a long story, I was going to say a short story long, is that buy a used car from a reputable dealer. Referrals. Now, how do we get repeat customers referrals? We've got to be doing things right. You heard Tony call the dealership before. He wanted to call and give us accolades because that we helped him out. He didn't work for us. Matter of fact, he worked for the competitor. He was a salesperson at the competitor's lot. And he came to Frontier Motors to get a letter of diminished value. We have other dealerships sending us customers because their management won't do a particular deal, won't pay enough for a trade-in, or just won't do what the customer wants. So they send us customers. That's really a feather in our cap when other dealerships are sending us customers. And one of the reasons they do this, for example, is we locate cars for customers, and we also buy every make and model. If, for example, you go to a Lexus dealership, even if you work at a Lexus dealership and you're driving a Lexus and you want to trade it on the used car lot, you might be surprised that the used car manager might not be doing any favors because he might have 15 of the same car on the lot. So even if you work there, you come to Frontier Motors to get your car appraised because we do a pretty good Lexus business. And when I look at the type of vehicles that we have, and I'll just give you an example. I don't want to bore people that are watching or listening with going through individual cars and how much they are. But as an example, when I look at Buicks, and we've got 9 Buicks in stock, we've got 10 Cadillacs on the lot. If you're looking for a Chevrolet, we have 35 Chevrolets on the lot, 7 Chryslers on the lot. Ford is one of our best-selling products. We have 39 Fords on the lot. We have 13 GMCs, 24 Hondas. We have 17 Hyundais. We have 15 Jeeps. We've got 17 Kias. We have 18 Lexus products, 7 Lincolns, Nissans. We do a really good Nissan business, 28 Nissans on the lot. We do a very good Toyota business. We have 30 Toyotas on the lot, 7 Volkswagens, and 2 Volvos. That's just, I skipped over some of them. But to give you an idea, folks, when you are a dealer that sells every make and model, we really don't have to sell you. Now, what I mean by that is you stop in the dealership and you say, hey, I want to look at a Ford. So we show you a Ford. And then you say, I'm going to go down to Sandy Sansing down the road here and look at a Chevy. Well, hold on. We got Chevys right here. And you say, well, I want to go over to Bob Tyler and look at Toyota. Well, if you're going to buy new, go see Bob Tyler. But wait a minute, I've got 20, some of them sitting right here. Let's take a look at some of ours to give you an idea of how much we can save you. We don't sell brand new cars. If you're going to buy a brand new Toyota, you go to Bob Tyler down the road over on Highway 29. He's been in business for years and years. But what if we have a 17 model or even an 2018 model on the lot that maybe I can save you $4,000 to $7,000 on? Remember, I told you the depreciation on the average was $9,200. I called. Somebody called me up on it. They called the show.
Yeah.
They said they were looking at one of our pickup trucks and it was only $5,000 less. I said, well, number one, don't forget what I said. It's an average. Some of the hot products, like an F-150 is pretty hot. Which is the number one selling vehicle in the world, Don?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
The F-150.
It's an F-150. And I don't know even, I might be exaggerating when I say the world, but the number one selling vehicle in the country in the last 21 years since I've been doing the show has been an F-150.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that they got 77 different models, too.
They do. They have 77 different models. They have they sell over 900,000 F-150s every year, and they're a pretty good selling vehicle on the used car lot. So they don't depreciate as much as the average. But I was still able to save him $5,000. But he was kind of calling me out. But the other thing I also told him, Don, is that if the average depreciation is $9,200 and you buy that car 1 year old, you're not saving $9,200. I've got to make money. People forget about that. If I buy the car $9,200 less than a new one, I can't sell it for $9,200 less. I have to make money on it. And the analogy I always use, what if I want to make $2,000? You save $7,200. And if I want to get greedy and make $3,000, you're still going to save $6,200. And don't forget, if you're buying a vehicle $6,200 less, you pay 7% tax, less tax on that $6,200. So it's another $300 to $400 you save. So even on the average, even if I'm making money on it, you're going to save somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000. Now, when we talk about that, a Chevy Smart car, not a Chevy Smart car, a Chevy Sonic or a Smart car is an inexpensive car. You don't save $7,000 on that car. It only depreciates 27% the first year. So if it's a $15,000 car, you lose maybe $3,000, $3,500. So the smaller, inexpensive cars still save you money, but not as much. Don, do we have another call?
We do. This is Greg.
Hey, Greg, thanks for calling the Frontier Motor Show. How can we help you?
Hey, good morning. I've noticed around the world from maybe the 90s, I forget when Lexus was even created, up until the maybe a few years ago, I never saw a Lexus overseas. Australia, Asia, Japan, even in Europe, they were simply Toyotas. The same car, like an LS400 that we see here, was called a Toyota. I forget the name that they put on them over there. But recently, they decided to start selling or branding those cars Lexus, I forget how many years ago, overseas. And the question I have is, a loaded Avalon is a fantastic car. How close would you say the Avalon is, with all the bells and whistles, to a comparable Lexus? And is it really worth it to spring for the Lexus? Because I think the Avalon is pretty nice, but does Lexus have anything to offer over the Avalon? And that was my question. Thanks.
Good. Thanks for calling the show, Greg. No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that overseas until recently. They badged them under Toyota. I wish they would do the same thing and call them like a Toyota Plus, because the negative thing about the Lexus is you can't take it to a Toyota dealership. I always thought that was kind of weird, because we have our local Lexus dealership is in Mobile, so you think you could buy because Toyota owns Lexus, you think you'd be able to buy that Lexus over in Mobile and bring it over to Bob Tyler and get it serviced. And of course you can get your oil change there, but you got to pay for it. But any warranty work that has to be done, you have to take it to the Lexus dealership. So it's very interesting. But it's a good question, Greg, and it goes back to what I was saying at the start of the show. We are an independent dealer. I am not a Toyota dealership. I'm not a Lexus dealership. Now, I'll tell you, Greg, that if you go to the Toyota dealership, I know how they're going to answer your question. And if you go to the Lexus dealership, I know how you're going to answer how they're going to answer your question. The way the Lexus wins your business, even being more expensive, I'm going to take a stab at it that a comparable Lexus is about $5,000 more than a loaded Avalon, because there's different levels of the Avalons and there's different equipment levels in the Lexus ES350, for example, which is the comparable car. But an Avalon Limited, for example, is their top of the line, and that car brand new is about a $40,000 car. And if you go with the Lexus, it's about a $47,000 car if you put the tech package on it and things like that. But the way that the Lexus dealership sells you is resale value. They're going to say, well, if you keep the car for 4 years and trade it in, if they even both depreciate 27%, 36%, 46% in the first 3 years, that your Lexus is going to give you almost all that money back. That's how they sell the Lexus. The warranty is a little bit better on a Lexus. It's a 4-year 50 versus a 3-year 36. I never figured out why Toyota has not extended their warranty. Toyota, according to Consumer Reports, which I just got last month, Toyota has now outranked Lexus as the top make and model. The year before was Lexus.
Is that
Toyota
for
was number 2.
reliability, you mean?
That's reliability. Yes, that's reliability. And I have it right here. And I'm going to let Don see it.
I see that, yeah.
You see what it's the top there? It says
I
Toyota.
see that, yes.
I'm not making it up.
He's
Toyota.
not making it up, folks.
And the year before, I've got the year before, and the year before was Lexus. So, folks, Toyota is the number one for reliability. Lexus is number two. Then Kia, believe it or not, is number three. I'm getting off the subject to answer Greg's question. Why doesn't Toyota have a 4-year 50? I don't have a clue. They're supposed to make the best product in the world, but they haven't increased their warranty. I always thought that was kind of funny. Same with Honda and same with Nissan, 3 or 36, and that's it. I personally would go for the Avalon. The dashboard in the new Avalon is unbelievable. I like it better than the new Lexus. And the new Lexus has changed their dashboard also. But you got to slip behind the wheel. And folks, if you can afford it, a lot of people say, well, if you can afford it, I would buy the Lexus. And it's somewhat of a stigma. I like them both. And Greg, when you're ready, I have an Avalon on the lot. I have a new Lexus on the lot. Matter of fact, I have 2 Avalons and I have 4 ES350s. So please come and see us. Being an independent dealer, folks, we've only got a couple of minutes left, so I want to kind of wrap this up a little bit by telling you that Frontier Motors is in the middle of Escambia County. We are the go-to dealers for free advice. So if you're in the market for a car, do not be ashamed. Don't be worried that you're taking our time and not buying anything. We advertise that all of our salespeople and managers will help you when you come in, even if you say, I want to buy a brand new car. Okay, we can tell you what to pay. Number 2, we can tell you what they should be appraising your trade-in for. Number 3, we can tell you if it's a good car, bad car based on previous reputation. Number 4, maybe what we can do is show you a 2018 or a 17 and see if we can save you a whole bunch of money as long as we have the car in stock and it passes your inspection. The other thing that we help you with is if we don't have the car that you want, we do have a great locate program where we find the car you want just on a handshake. You tell us what you want. We're going to tell you how much it's going to cost. We provide the vehicle for you. Sometimes it takes a week, sometimes a month, depending on what you want. We have it sitting out front. If it doesn't pass inspection, don't give us any money. We've been doing this for 21 years. We're going to make sure we get you a car that's like brand new. The other thing I'd like to mention also that if you've got a car and you're not using it or you're going to put it on Craigslist, stop. Bring it to Frontier Motors. Let me appraise that car for you. I will write you a check. You can cancel the insurance, take your tag off of it, and be done. If that's not enough for you, if I can't give you enough to make you happy, I can also do consignment. So what I do on consignment, I normally give you $1,000 or $1,500 more on consignment because I don't have to tie up our cash. I can buy 2 cars. I'll have yours sitting there, which we're going to sell. And it has to be a win situation for everybody where it's a good deal for you and yet still where my customer gets a fair deal. Frontier Motors is the place to go to be treated fairly. What we'll do is we'll give you a price right off the bat. We'll put it in writing. We'll give you an out-the-door figure. And if you go to a dealer that won't give you a total out-the-door figure I always talk about, walk away. Our vehicles, as long as they have less than 100,000 miles on it, are what we call certified. Don't be bamboozled by the new car dealer that says they only do certification. Our car, if it's 1 year old, you'll get a 9-year warranty up to 100,000 miles on the odometer. If it's 2 years old, for example, you get 8 more years up to 100,000 miles on the odometer on the drivetrain, transaxle, and transmission. That's Frontier Motors, 230 Beverly Parkway. Check us out. Give us a call. Stop in, and you'll be glad that you did. Well, that's a slogan we shouldn't be using. 21 years in business. Please see us when you're in the market for a car. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Auf Wiedersehen.
Doing business the old-fashioned way, Frontier. We've got the right price, Frontier. We'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.